New York raised me, but Baltimore sharpened me. Like, see the roots in like 93, like crazy shit like that. We needed to find a way to never leave graffiti, which we didn't. So I ate a bag of weed cookies. This is my first event we're throwing at a Beautiful Decay party.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me in the tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Fubz. I am a I don't know, I do a lot of stuff, have my hands in a lot of things. For me, the base was always photography. Originally it wasn't. I was working in the music industry, but it became photography, which led to publishing and sometimes artist management and sales and apparel distribution, and now sauce brand making and whatever, through events. I guess we threw some events, a few events here and there. So yeah, so we definitely had our hand in the mix. And I'm from New York, so I think part of it is growing up in it, is in general at the time, like it was just hitting us in the face, shit was happening. So yeah, but the base, photography and publishing, is what most people of that era would know me as.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is a multi-hyphenated hyphenator, creator, promoter, and art and design obsessed peer I greatly admire, Fubz. In the Y2K era of print magazines, Fubz had a lock on art, design, and culture with Beautiful Decay Magazine. Fubz was notorious for discovering, promoting, and sharing up-and-coming artists of the era, publishing them, throwing events, and creating a place for his first love, graffiti. We go off on the nightlife, other magazines, and so much more. Without further ado, Fubz.
When did you start going out and partaking into the culture at night?
Well, it's interesting because I went to school in the city. I went to school in Elizabeth Irwin. And I think that like you, as city kids in general, you're roaming, you're as a Queens native, and I was always on the train. So like you're always out. For me, it started with more like Nuyorican, Wetlands, all that like underground rap shit was one of my bases of really getting into it at the beginning and going to those shows. And we went to a bunch of shit. Like we used to sneak into shows up in, actually Columbia used to have all these crazy rap shows, like hip hop shows and shit. We'd sneak into those as like underage, we weren't allowed to, without even IDs, and just give fake IDs and shit, and they could have them, and just go and like see the roots in like 93, like crazy shit like that. So there was this burgeoning scene. You see all the same people at I was in Baltimore, like lived there heavy from 2000 to 2002, and that's where like kind of Beautiful Decay like combusted, kind of came to be.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Baltimore is fun. Like I would say New York raised me, but Baltimore sharpened me. Like it definitely was a fucking wild place for sure. And a lot of interesting culture in Mid-Atlantic that you can't replicate anywhere else at all. I was running a different magazine called Manifest that I had started, I guess, in college. One day Stab was like, "Yo, you need to come to this party." And I was like, "Word." And I have the flyer still somewhere. And he was like, and it was at Beautiful Decay presents Bucket Brigade. And it was like, oh, okay. And it was at this place called Satan's Halfway House on Baltimore Street. And so we walked in there, and I walked up to the table where they had this magazine I'd never seen before. It was issue A. And I take a copy, and this dude says to me, this is literally the origin story of Beautiful Decay. The dude says to me, oh, it's $5. And I said, I don't even know what this magazine is. I'm just here to support. He's like, it's $5. It costs blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not interested in that. So I put it down, and I take out of my bag. Now at the time I'm printing like a black and white, but like magazine that's like, I had like 30,000 copies in the street. So I pull out like a 50 pack that is in my bag, and I fan it over at his party, his magazine at his party. And I give him my card and I walk away. That's literally how we met. And like, I walk over to this other booth, the only other guy vending, and he's selling t-shirts, and it's this guy called Dave from Day by Day. So whatever, I bother this dude, And then all of a sudden I get an email one day from Amir, the guy that I gave my card to. And he's like, hey, you know, I want to talk with you. Maybe like we could join forces or some shit. And I was like, what? And so basically my pestering of this dude for ad money, because I was a publisher that was like creative and like, I got to get money or we can't put this fucking thing out, was like, that's what you need. You need this guy. And so Amir called me or emailed me. Then we met and we didn't really understand each other. We were like totally different kind of ends of the spectrum. Like he's a straight edge vegan, you know, hardcore guy, like punk, like, and I'm not. I'm like, you know, pork eating, weed smoking Jew from New York that likes rap music. Like I'm a whole different, but that's into photography. We're like, we're different. But so we were like, we spoke and more or less we joined forces unofficially. Like, and the idea when we was like, it was serendipity because I was moving back to New York within the next month or two. He was moving to California to get his MFA at UCLA. And it was like, we had just met. It was weird. Like we had both been there for like 6 years in and out. We had just met. We knew a lot of crossover people. So then the three of us, like, we hand stickered issue B. We threw the, which was like the second issue of Beautiful Decay. We put all this, like, we through the release parties. We both moved to different sides of the country. He came to our house first for like 2 weeks. We put out issue C together, like fully end to end. I was trying to keep Manifest going as a black and white fuck you rag and keep Beautiful Decay as a color mag. And we changed up the music scene in it. We like added some other shit to it. So we joined forces officially and put out that issue. And the magazine just kind of took off at that point. Like we worked our asses off, but like we worked to suss each other's trust out, and we were in two sides of the country. So we built this thing like this. We were building companies on phones and on video chats from like 2002. Like and I think about it, like we couldn't have done what we did without being in two parts of the country.
Yeah.
It made it so big. People thought it was much bigger than it was. It was just 3 bedroom dwelling crazy people.
And you were there from 96 to 2002.
Well, I was going to school from 96 to 2000. So I was only like in and out, and like I was in New York all summer, every summer throughout that. So during that time I was at Pseudo, at 88 Hip Hop. I was at making records. And that was pretty much, and I helped my pops at his store renovate and shit. And so like, and I was at Def Jam for like 7 seconds, like 7.5 seconds. I was interning at Def Jam. I was like 19, and it was literally the summer that the merger went through at Seagram's.
What were the, like, were you the blogs that you, or like the forums, the message boards that you were on back then?
I didn't get into message boards. This is what's crazy. No, like I did not get into the message board heavy. Like I was not in the digital realm real. Like I did all the shit we did in Baltimore. I checked my email once or twice a day at best. Everything was on foot and in person. And I worked at dark rooms and shit. So I was always working in dark rooms teaching photography. And I assisted Kareem Black very briefly after college. That's how we met. So like I got out of school in 2000. I came back to New York. I was working as an intern at the Source in the photo department, and I was assisting Kareem Black.
Like, who were you featuring in Beautiful Decay back then?
You know, when we started, like we were really featuring artists, and that's what's interesting. Like we played our role. So like our whole goal was to like kind of fill the gap that didn't exist. Like, and that's where Amir and us, we really saw eye to eye, is that I didn't like current magazine content. Like I liked certain things, but it was regurgitated. It was attached to PR people that were telling you what to do. Everybody saw the same shit monthly. And if you remember that era, there was only like 10 or 15 top, before even we made ours, culture magazines. Some stuff was good, some stuff was better than others, but it was boring. So we were trying to fill gaps, and so was Amir. Like, and so that's when we got together. It was like, that's what we're gonna do. Is we tried to do things that either people had never heard before and break shit and just be dope and really be ahead of the curve and live on that curve, like way ahead of it, or discuss things that nobody's talking about, right now. Because being in a PR cycle then especially because it was not that much going on, we became boring. And so like the list of people that we helped, I mean, it sounds so like cocky and shit, but like Amir is a true visionary, like hands down. Like I'll never say that. He understood, we all understood music wise and sound wise and visual wise what was coming up, and we just put it in book. And so there was like I'm trying to think of like some of the people that like we like helped give first press to, from like Chuck Anderson, Gaijin Fujita. I think Wengechi Motu, but I'm not sure if we were the first. We put Kendon Wiley in our book, like, I don't know what year that was, like 2006. Dudes that like other famous dudes are like, that's my favorite guy. We put that guy on. That's kind of like where it ended up. And it just became, we were in it. Like, we were all in whatever we were in, like Dust. I never forget Dust. This is a great example. So Dust was around, and we did a show. Or no, we didn't do a show. He did a show with Adam, and I knew Adam Amangual through people from Boston, Jake. And Adam is, if you don't know, Adam Amangual is the best photographer you don't know yet. Like, never wasn't, always was the best. And so he was like, dude, I'm doing a show at Open Air. This is how all these dots connected. So we go to Open Air, which I had been to before, and Adam had Polaroids up, and it was Dust. It was the Antisocial, and it was the Antisocial Club at the time. That was like before the Antisocial Club, which is so bugged out. And so the ASC, that was the first of the ASC, and it was, I remember because I walked in, it was like Dust shit, Adam shit, Marty, but I'm sure I'm missing people, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody that was in that show. But it was like, it was a dope little gathering. It was a tiny little room, and Dust, that's when I didn't meet Dust that night. I met Dust I might have met him that night, and then again through Adam G outside of Luke and Leroy's at the West Side Gangbang. And he asked me to smoke, and I said, no, I don't trust you. You fucking Dust LaRock shit. I'm good. I didn't smoke with him because I didn't trust him because of his name. But yeah, I met him at that art show, and then he was like, he figured out who I was, and he kind of bothered me for press. And like, we kind of had a line of Beautiful Decay where like, Amir was like, he had the pedigree. He was a graffiti writer that went to art school, that like knew his shit in and out, so like he had the final say. Like, I had say in photo shit, but he had say in everything else as the top brats, which is totally good because we all did our shit. Like, we didn't ever like veer from it. And as long as there was enough money to keep that bitch out and do marketing and throw events, we're good. So like, that was the goal. And so I told Dust, I said, look, I'm gonna pass it on to my man, but I can't guarantee it. It's like, and then I either forgot to or whatever it was. Like, it was like a couple weeks past, and I don't know how it was, but Amir, I think I sent him a site, like the Knuckle Duster site or some shit. And Amir was like, yo, this is the best, like, he said, this is like the best vector artist I've ever seen. Who is this? Where you? I was like, I know that guy. He's like, you know that guy? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yo, we need that guy. we need that guy in the book. And like, that's just like one of those weird, like, we have this moment. A Boogie, another one. This is interesting. Like, I was like tracking Boogie as a photographer from the jump. Like, he was like sending emails out, and we were gonna put him in. I don't remember the issue, and literally like Vice beat us to the punch. No shit. Like, Vice put the story out, and we pulled it. We pulled it from press, and we did a whole thing on him online, and him and I became tight. We still are. He's still the craziest dude I know. And like, but like, it was like one of those moments where you're like, we actually would pull things if people beat us to the punch. We almost pulled, the Dust article. This is real. We almost pulled the Dust article because Accelerator put him on the cover, but not as a featured artist, as a, like, he did the cover art for something. And we almost pulled it, and we're like, nah, we're not gonna pull it. We're good. And then I remember he was like, it was such a weird article. It's like so many layers of strange shit. But yeah, like those times, because we were always trying to break things, were real tough sometimes, especially in the competitive nature of what it was. And that forced us to dig deeper. Like, there was a moment where we were like, we need to get our shit from not this graffiti magazine, but to this art magazine. We need to really push past what Juxtapose was doing, because Juxtapose was just cusping lowbrow. And we were like, we need to be highbrow and really like for us, it was the convergence, which is what we called it.
Yeah.
And we needed to find a way to never leave graffiti, which we didn't to the end. We never let graffiti go because it was our seed. And at the same time, like cover dudes like Robbie Canal that bridges the line, and like John Baldessari wrote our first forward to our book we put out. We put out like one little book, and I never thought, and like,
Oh.
you know, it was like, whoa, what are we doing right now? Like we're like on some other shit, and people didn't know it, and it kept it. It at some point we totally, when we made that decision to go in that direction and round the corners and all that shit, we started to separate ourselves from the pack. For us, like we had to be different, not because of being different, but people didn't even know what, like I used to go to meetings and I never knew it was going to be in our magazine. Unbelievable that I could sell the shit and not know it was going to be in the next issue. And that was half our lore, is that, you know, I almost let Amir keep it secret sometimes. Like, don't tell me, I'm good. You know, like people are like, what's in this next issue? I'm like, if I told you, you wouldn't even know anyway. So what the fuck is the difference? And we knew Jules and them. We met. Oh, this is interesting. So the Beautiful Decay issue B release party in Virginia, it was a 2-part release party, Baltimore, Virginia, is where I met the Jules and Sam set. They were there doing a art fashion show at the Beautiful Decay issue B release party they had a brand called Denizen. Okay. And it was I was like, what is this? Like these dudes are doing these bros are doing some crazy shit, like some other shit, you know. And then they were like up in New York. And so we all like reconnected in New York, like, oh, what's up? You say you started Sway in 04?
Yeah.
We started when it began. I remember who passed on that info. I mean, because I knew Aaron and I knew a New York thing before, you know, and I knew Frank because I was shooting for Frank already I went to like the Fridge 99. That's when I first met Mike.
Wow.
Was at this Fridge event at Speed that Craig used to, that I met Craig with Kareem Black in 2000 shooting Capone and Noriega at the Electra offices and for Fridge, and Craig and Beef were the guys there. Okay.
Wow.
And so Craig would invite me to the Fridge parties in the summer. It was this huge skate party on the roof of Speed, had a half pipe. And that's when I met Mike Malbon, and he gave me an issue of Frank. And I knew Frank because I had a friend from college that was from Atlanta. So he used to send me all those original Frank magazines. Like, oh, you need to know about this.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't even know where all that. But yeah, so I'm trying to think.
This is good. This is good. You were like already established as a photographer before Beautiful Decay even really popped off.
Not, you know, it's funny, it all happened kind of similar. Like I decided to be like, I started taking pictures. Like I was an intern at Making Records in 97, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I was gonna be a producer. Like I was like in like learning that shit, doing computer music and synthesizers and shit. And I just took photo shit on the side for myself, and I was good at it. And so I was like, yo, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna fit my way right into this industry with this. So I went back to Macon and started shooting. And like I used to go to Jean's crib at Chelsea and wait for her, fucking crazy. And so yeah, but then I moved back to Baltimore and I was just shooting, working in dark rooms, but I wasn't established. Came back to New York and started hustling again and started pushing the mag, and all kind of happened at the same time. Like it was a full court press, and like Elemental, all those things happened at the same time. Frank, Elemental, like Remix, like I shot Alchemist's first album. Like I shot him for the cover. This actually, where is it? It's up here. Whoop. Okay, so where am I? That thing.
So where were you going? You mentioned Speed. Where were you going out?
I would go to all the hip hop shows. I was still going to all that shit. Like, you know, what was the name of that place? Lions Den then became it. And, you know, Tramps ended, Wetlands ended, SOBs, of course. Hated SOB, still don't like that venue, but it became the de facto rap venue. Luke and Leroy's, I started going to a lot of different shit at Luke and Leroy's before you guys were doing that shit there. We used to go to back in the day to Club Fun. Actually, I forgot about that once or twice when it was on Varick back in the day. But like, I didn't really go out. Like when I lived in Baltimore, I went to the Paradox a few times. Actually, helped a guy install the DJ booth there. That shit's such a blur to me because I didn't go out really to go out. Like when I lived in Baltimore, we used to throw a play. We helped start Sonar. Like I knew Lonnie Fisher and all them.
Oh wow.
And so they started Sonar, and it was a martini bar, not a club. Okay. And we had a like Manifest before Beautiful Decay did like Tuesday nights there. And we had a friend that we used to go by Laissez Faire Pilots. He was this crazy DJ Lance, and he was dope. And he spun out on like random Tuesdays. We do like martini nights at Sonar before it moved. But in New York, it was all rap venues for me. And I went, everything else I went to be very honest with you, it was always a blur. Like when I started, like it wasn't about going out. Like it was about seeing people, and wherever we wanted to meet, we'll go. Went to a lot of random bars and ended up in a lot of random places.
It's interesting that you were in Maryland for that whole period, and like it's where I'm from. So
I know.
Yeah.
I know that. Like, see, Maryland was really, I love Maryland. Like I always say, like I look back at those years, and I was deep in the art community in Baltimore, and it's unique. Like as I said, like nobody gives a shit about if you know what they're doing. Just like we do our thing down here, and because of that, like A, it accepted me, and B, it's like New York shit is so connected to money. Like it's so it can touch money, and like the scene, any scene in New York is this close to like global money that it ruins it before it gets anywhere. I mean, and I hate to say that because we did dope shit, but it makes it like you chase shit differently. You know, like you go to Baltimore and you're like, fools are still wearing bummy ass shoes because they didn't buy new ones this week. They don't care. It doesn't matter. But they're gonna show you the shit they're working on because rent's still $600 or whatever it is. And that is where in New York we're chasing this money. So I feel like when I look back, I think it got lost a little bit. Some of like I think there's dope shit left on the floor is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Because of everybody's like hunting for success and money, but maybe not always the thing that starts everybody's mission is not those things.
Money. Yeah. So how often were the Beautiful Decay events going down?
We were doing them every 3 months, 4 times a year, every quarter. We would like, so that's interesting. So I met Synapse in 2002. I was going out. We started going to open air because I had a friend that
There he is.
Chase, there he is, wearing Beautiful Decay shirts. So like I had a friend, Chase Whitaker, that I knew through, I don't even know how I knew Chase, but he was like, oh, I'm doing this event Fridays at open air, free Red Stripe. Remember the free Red Stripe, right? So free Red Stripe for an hour. And I was like, dope. And then I walk in there one night and he's there and chopping it. Evil D's there. And I'm like, yo, what up? You know, I know Evil from fucking 88 Hip Hop. He was like, I was part of his intern team. So then this dude Synapse is spinning. And I was like, oh, word. And we start talking, and, you know, he's like, oh, then I just would go there regularly. And then the next week he's like, yo, is this you? He pulls out Elemental. I was like, yeah. He's like, yo. And then him and I just kind of gelled, Synapse and I. Like in that moment, we were like, that was that. And like I needed to do, like, I was like, I needed to get out and do other shit at that moment and expand what we were doing on the street, because we started throwing parties by accident, right? And it was before Synapse. I met Synapse. Amir threw an event in LA that was like random little party. There's a release party. So you guys should throw a release party, like blah, blah, blah. And we actually helped start, like our first party in LA was at Cinespace with Steve Aoki on Thursdays.
Wow.
Like Beautiful Decay release party. You can go all the way back. And at the time I'm going out. Okay. I'm going to bar 169 a lot because I'm homies with Padati and like Boone and all those kids. And they're doing weird events and 169 and a few strange events in Brooklyn, like off of Smith and 9. And I'm going to all their weird fucking events and shit. And so I'm like, yo, dude, I was like, I need you to book this. I'm going to get an event going. And we're going to throw an event at the Brooklyn Industry Store on Bedford. this is my scheme to start throwing events in New York. So I don't have to worry about a venue. And I talked to Vahop and I'm like, yo, we're gonna throw an event here, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna bring DJs in and we're gonna bring Red Bull and vodka because we're cool with both Red Bull. And at the time we got Armadale vodka. I don't know how we knew James Outlaw. And so we get like a stack of Armadale vodka and a stack of Red Bull in the Brooklyn Industries store. And we put up a fucking sound system on Bedford Avenue. And it was just a really dope kind of affair. Like even Alec showed up, tried to steal something and crazy shit went down. Like, and at the end, the cop showed up, said, I don't know what y'all think you're doing. We're bringing the Sarge down here. And I was not drinking at the time when I started the night. I was like, I'm not gonna drink. And then it was Red Bull and vodka. And then I ended up not drinking, but drinking so much that I became somebody else. And my boy showed up that was running this Mountain Dew tour that literally showed up with black sunglasses on at night and gave me some cookies that I didn't know were all weed cookies. So I ate a bag of weed cookies. This is my first event we're throwing at Beautiful Decay party. We have a packed house at the Brooklyn Industry store, overflowing. I was so worried no one's gonna show up. I promoted so fucking hard because I didn't really have a team at the time that like I was so stressed out. We packed this thing stupid till the cops came. People are stealing shit. There's like drinks on retail clothes. Like it was one of those sloppy 20-something-year-old events. And that's how we started throwing parties in New York. Oh my goodness. That's one of my birthdays, I think. That's hilarious. Stoned much?
Can I show you something else? Look at this.
Hilarious. Oh my God.
Pre-tattoos.
Wow. Yo, I'll tell you how I met Delzia.
Is that crazy? I looked at this. I couldn't even believe it. I was like,
Dave Delzio, when I met him, Double D. We call him Double. He's still Double D in my phone. Okay. And he was like the best addition to our like very mixed crew of like rappers and rockers. And we did a lot of weird shit. We went to a lot of weird places, like a lot of weird places. Like that era was crazy. Like, and Deke Jenkins, the twins that he was friends with, Ryan and fuck was his name? They used to beat the shit out of each other with brass knuckles and run out of moving cars and shit. Like we go to rock and roll clubs and like we went to a party one night at I think a private house that like I think Samantha Robinson was spinning at, all of us. Dame Dash shows up with like booze. I think we stole some and left. Like I don't even remember. There was like so many for breaks of memories during those years. That was like I guess 05. I met him in I think 05. And he just showed up one night and he was never not around. Like he was the guy. He's still the guy. That's still like, you know, I'll be at his birthday whenever. It's just what it is. Like for me in 05, everything changed, right? Like 04, 05. And that was like, we opened an office the summer of 05 in LA. It was the summer of 05, maybe the fall. And Ben moved from New York to LA, which left me alone in New York, and I had to figure out how to redo events more or less. And that's where Good Peoples comes into play. And so at the time...
And you met Katie at Sway, right?
No, I met Katie through Synapse. Synapse one day at night calls me. He's like, I think we brought Katie to Sway. Oh. I don't know, though. I don't want to be quoted that. I'm not sure if that's fact. But like, no, probably not. Like he said to me, so Synapse would, no matter what, he would meet people far and wide. I'm like focused on a goal and he's doing his shit. He's like, oh, I met this girl that works at Warner. I was like, word. And me being the dick I was at the time, does she have budgets? Was my question. And like, can we get money? Like, and he's like, I don't know. And then one night he's like, oh, you should come to his apartment. Like, this is Synapse shit. Like, come meet me here. I'm like, okay. Where am I going? He's like, oh, and he sends me the address. It's Katie's apartment. Fast forward. And so that's how I met Katie. And then like, but there was a gap when Ben left that I didn't know what to do. And I was literally going to plan to pull my events back to be smaller because I was like, we're a magazine. We're not an event producer. So I want to like, maybe do intimate and let it, instead of all these open bar events and shit and every knuckle dragger that wants free booze and fight and whatever, let's just make it invite only, 100 people, maybe less, do some real high-end shit, cool guy gallery shit. And that was my idea. And so basically my cycle back in the day was we were in 3-month cycles, right? And so every 3 months a magazine came out, and at the same time there was a release party. So I'd produce a magazine, do all the content, do all the advertising. So do all the content a month, do all the advertising a month, throw a party. This was like the process and never stopped. But so the day after the event, I had to start selling ads again. Like I had to never stop selling ads. And so that was the cycle. And so I was just in this, like, I'm alone now and I have a gap to do this. I don't really know what to do. And Synapse was like, oh, well, we're kind of starting, all of us are starting this thing called Good People. And it was her and him and Katie, Chase Kills, and there was a couple other people, and I feel like I'm disrespecting them because I don't remember who was also there. Like 2 other people. And I was like, word, we know the guy that's doing the booking at Tribeca Cinemas. We're going to throw this Prince Paul event. I'm like, oh, word. So, and Synapse is like, oh, the girl throwing it, you met her at your apartment. It's like, yeah, she's looking for sponsors. I told her to call you. And I was like, all right, So I'm like, Katie calls me and tells me what she's doing. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, and I'm very frankly, I'm like looking for all my B grade sponsors that aren't my money because I'm not giving budgets away. And so I was like, oh, maybe we could do Mountain Dew. It might have somebody, blah, blah, blah. And then like, I'm thinking about it because I'm like starting to like, what am I going to do? I'm got to throw in a fucking event. Like, I was like, wait a second. We're going to make this a Beautiful Decay event. You have a venue, you have a headliner. I was like, it's at Tribeca Cinemas. I was like, I'm going to turn this thing into like a video release fucking extravaganza, whatever. Let me fill the screens. They were already talking to DC Shoes to do shit there, but it wasn't solidified. They were going to launch when Danny Way jumped over the wall of China, Take Great Wall of China. I know Sneaker Steve and I know Jeff Pang already up there. So, and I'm like, let's do it. Let's go. Beautiful Decay party, we'll fill it up. Okay. That's how that started, like that moment, because it was like they were doing something and I needed to do something, and it was a perfect mesh, of which ended up being like they were good at a few things, but at the time they were a little bit all over the place. And I just got the rest of the money together, started making phone calls, and we made it happen. And so that's how that started and became part of like the event wing of it, of sort. Because it was all the pieces already, and it was like I can't even think about that shit. So while in my head I was going to ramp backwards, it turned it up. That's an interesting conversation to itself, is the corporate companies that made that time happen. Because I think about it, I'm like, yo, Toyota was literally responsible for like probably like 3 years worth of events.
Yeah.
And Boost was, and I mean Red Bull and Sparks. Holy shit, Sparks.
You want to see something? This is a Sparks keychain.
Oh, I have that. I got paid so much money from Sparks. And then the
Really?
ATF called us one day. We helped launch it.
What? Wait.
So this is what's interesting about this tidbit. So they called us one day, randomly. Mackenzie River Corporation started it. They also started St. Ides, Crazy Horse, all this shit. And they used to build brands and sell them off. That was their game. And so independent company out of San Francisco. So I get a random phone call that they want to advertise with us. Okay. This is before I even knew what Sparks was. And I'm like, word. And so they're like, we want the back cover. We want it for the whole year. And then I was like, you want to sponsor events? They're like, we'll pay for all the events. And I was like, sweet, we'll give out all your product. So I cut this big deal with these dudes. And me and my boy go out one night during a blizzard to see, he's chasing this girl to see this girl. We walk into a store and they're selling Sparks 4 for $1. I'm like, oh, I gotta have this. I've never seen it. We just cut this deal. We drank all of it. I was somebody else, crazy. I'm like, oh boy. So they start paying for all the events. We start giving Sparks out. Fucking not us and Vice was like, they're like, this is how we're gonna give it out. So we were giving it out. They were paying us. And then one day, I get a phone call from the ATF. Alcohol, tobacco, firearms. We need all your paperwork and everything dealings with Mackenzie River. So basically, like, long and short, they had ALC NRG written on the back of it, but nowhere did it say alcohol. Nowhere to say. So people, delis and shit didn't know what it was, and they were selling it to kids, and kids were like having like, overloading Four Loko style.
Do you remember what
on
year
the sh-
that was that ATF was rating you?
It was right before they sold it, so like 07-ish probably, I'd say. And surely after enough, they sold that, and they also owned Steel Reserve. Okay, and we did a couple Steel Reserve parties. I still have a Steel Reserve bomber jacket from them, and
Amazing.
so basically, like right after that, that was that. They sold it to Miller for $215 million. Sparks and Steel Reserve, and then they went and produced other non-alcoholic beverages for Alpha. No idea what they're doing now. They're really good people though. They were dope.
Fubz, you're a
Thank
myth,
you so
a
much.
legend. Thank you. And I love your Spark
Easy.
swag.
It's so funny. Spark swag. Oh my god. Yeah, we could do a whole shoot your gems on that shit. It's crazy. So
Love it.
well, Godspeed. If you need anything, let me know.
Okay,
Peace,
cool.
Rox. Be easy.
Bye.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.